against the birth of the humankind. Now is starting the next session. The chairman is Alphonse Guigné. We'll have the other session will have two co-chairmen in order to make them even more lively. This session I will ask Alphonse to take my place because there is a timer. But I think if you like, everybody could stay here. Just so you'll take my place, and then we have to lead your session. Thank you.
Good morning to all of you. It works. Just listening to the previous speaker, the professor, I want to add that we as European ship owners strongly support the Rotterdam rules, mainly to avoid regional legislation in Europe, in the US, in Japan, and what have you, a global system. Now, my task is to chair this panel, and I just wanted to give in 5 minutes to set the scene for the discussions of the panel. And I hope the slides are on there. So what I'm going to talk about is 3 seconds about EXA, then shipping as the most regulated global industry. You lawyers will like this. Then the global competitive position of shipping, EU competition rules briefly, and the modal shift to short sea shipping. I won't go into any detail, just put some key points on the scene. Having said this, EXA, and I skip a few slides, we represent European shipping, established in Brussels 65, and having daily contacts with all the European institutions. One other slide, EEA, which means European Economic Area, Europe and Norway, controls 41% of the global merchant fleet. Quite important for other issues we are going to discuss in the panel. And then we go to the substance. First of all, shipping, the most regulated industry globally. Now, first of all, on labor issues, we have the ILO MLC Convention, Maritime Labour Convention, transferred into EU legislation as well, parts of it at least, following an agreement between the social partners. So global legislation on labor. Then we go to safety. Safety, after ERICA, Prestige, and what have you, 3 safety packages were adopted in the EU, and here you see the third one, which covers about everything going from flag state control to port state control, Athens Convention, as just mentioned. So it's all there now. The only thing is to apply it properly and to control the application of it. So safety, again, global, but transferred into EU legislation on the basis of IMO legislation. Then we come to the environment. The most recent one is 2008, the MARPOL Convention, where you see here the sulfur bit, a bit controversial because on short sea shipping, some fuss has been created, rightly, because of the application of 0.1% in the 3 ECAs as from 2015, 3 ECAs, North Sea, Baltic, English Channel, which would result in a modal shift the other way around from the sea to the land. That's not what we want. But I show this. This is, again, IMO legislation, will be transferred into EU legislation by changing the existing sulfur directive. Then we go to a topic today, climate change. Again, discussions in IMO, and you see at this stage mainly concentrating on reducing emissions. And I believe this is a clear message. What we are talking about here is reduction of CO2, not trading of CO2. The key point is reduction of CO2, which means consuming less energy. I go further, and then we come to the competitive position of European shipping. Now, European shipping is working globally. Working globally means in a global environment, ships can be flagged in and out whenever you wish. if you obey to the international rules. And that's why in 1997, the Commission adopted state aid guidelines for shipping, allowing member states to take fiscal alleviation measures. The best known one is the tonnage tax system, and also an alleviation of employment conditions, mainly reduction of social security and taxation of seafarers. Now, I mentioned on purpose here that the aim of the state aid guidelines and of the measures allowed by the state aid guidelines is to create the right framework for EU shipping to meet global competition. So contrary to some guidelines in other industries, which are aimed at regulating intra-Europe, this is aimed at external global competition, which is quite a difference. Now the guidelines are for review, and in the Commission communication of 2009, the so-called Maritime Transport Strategy 2018, it was clearly mentioned that the guidelines should be continued. Now we support as EXA a continuation, of course, but it's now in the hands of DG Comp, DG Competition, which is maybe a slight different approach, but we will meet the challenge. Having said this, few words about competition rules. We still have an exemption for consortia, being more technical agreements, slot hire, and so on. One comment to make here, in the context of short sea shipping, I'm also thinking of Juan Riva, who is not here today, that you can indeed have such agreements now in short sea shipping, in regular RoRo services, for instance, today, because in the new exemption, the words chiefly by container have been taken out. Previously, it was purely containers, chiefly by container, has been taken out, so you can do this now for regular RoRo services, reefer services, and so on. Superfluous to mention that the conference system has been abolished. I don't go into the detail there, and that for tramp shipping, the Commission has now also or shares enforcement procedures with the member states. The key point is there, and this comes always back in competition rules, self-assessment of what you do, of your cooperative practices versus the competition rules, mainly the 4 conditions on which I won't go into the detail. And then we come to the last one, that is the modal shift to short sea shipping. Now, there are often wrong ideas about this. Now, the modal shift is a consequence of co-modality. That means that you choose the best transport mode, most efficient, lowest external costs, and so on, in a co-modal operation. On long distances, this will always be short sea shipping. We have support programs like Marco Polo and Trans-European networks. A key point is there that a distortion of competition is avoided by giving subsidies to an operator who takes then cargo away from an existing service. There are your references in the legislation on that. And in the same context, and this is also something of Juan Riva, who isn't here today, that rather than indeed giving direct subsidies, it is better to work with an eco-bonus, as happens in Italy, which is a neutral and direct solution where you give money to the truckers and not to the ship owner, and also an extension of infrastructure, land-based infrastructure, rail, barge, roads, and what have you, the so-called hinterland connections, is also a neutral thing which is valid for everybody. Having said this, I've set more or less the scene, and my next task is to introduce the speaker, Mark Clough. We are happy to have a QC, a Queen's Counsel, here today. I know Mark for many years because he was involved in the West Africa case, in TACA, FEFC, and so on. And in those days, I was sitting on the other side of the table. So I know he's a good speaker, but I would like to also ask him to stick to 10 minutes. Mark, the floor is yours.
Thank you.